Hello, greetings from Woodbridge, Virginia. I'm about an hour and a half north of Richmond. I was just in Richmond and I wanted to come to look at this location. We're going to do 3 locations today, checking out the history of the Roy Rogers fast food franchise, ending with the original location. And we're going to be the first people to eat Roy Rogers there in decades, I hope. So we're going to try this, see if it works out. But right now, we're at this building. This is now closed, but this once was a restaurant called All About the Burger. But this building was once a Roy Rogers, and it was in the same style that the original Roy Rogers, which is no longer there. We're gonna go to the location of it. This is the same style of building. So I'm gonna show you the distinctive Roy Rogers features on this building. They've converted it a bit, but it is the same building and there's some cool stuff to see. So hope you like this one today. Make sure to click like below, make sure to subscribe, and let's go. All right, so let's take a peek inside first. I would assume the inside is relatively recently closed, but I assume that this is all new. This looks very different than certainly something that would have been around in those old days. And this stuff's all brick. This is all relatively normal, but this part is the very distinctive rock work. This rock here, this is all very distinctive rock work that they would use at these Roy Rogers locations. Temporarily closed for construction, so this might be, you know, the end of days for this building. So here's this rock work, and over here would be your drive-through. And they probably had a Roy Rogers sign somewhere over here when it was open, but now it's not. Drive-thru is all boarded up. Now this location didn't, but some of the Roy Rogers locations would have picnic tables in the back here in this area. But this location, because it's got such a small area back here, I'm assuming that was never the case. But at some point right here in Woodbridge, Virginia, this location was serving that Roy Rogers chicken. Here you go. So this is very distinctly Roy Rogers. I'll put a picture of an open Roy Rogers that matches up with this so you can take a look. And that's it. So now we go about 15 minutes away to our next stop. History of the company here. It says 1967 they got Roy Rogers, who we'll talk about a bit. He was a singing cowboy and he partnered with them to make this restaurant, and then it was in the 90s that Hardee's acquired them. They ended up closing a bunch of them. We're going to go to the original location, which is one that was closed right after Hardee's bought them in the 1990s at 648 then. Here we go. I went with the 2-piece fried chicken. Roy Rogers is unique among fast food restaurants that they have hamburgers, they have fried chicken, and they have roast beef. So kind of like the 3 big fast food meals. I guess if they threw in tacos, they'd really have it all. So you see the distinctive neon. It's probably an LED sign now, but they always had this this neon sign that said Roy Rogers. I used to go to the one in New York City occasionally. They had one right across from Madison Square Garden. And look here, join the Buckaroo Club. There's a chain called Roni's that actually bought some of the old buildings, and they use this logo. They just changed it to say Roni's. got some cod made with Yingling beer. And then the Fixins bar used to be here. They still have the sign up for it, but it said due to supply chain issues, they don't have it, but it said that they're gonna have a new Fixins bar that'll start next month. So April, I think. Late in April, so we're just missing that, but we have a lot of different dishes here. A lot of stuff to try. So yeah, I went with the dark meat fried chicken with the 2-piece with the French fries. That's what I remember getting the most when I was a kid. So now I'm gonna take that and we're gonna go to the next stop. So here we are. This is Falls Church, Virginia. And this was the location of the first Roy Rogers. And if you look there, you see that building in the background, right there. And the Roy Rogers would have been right about where the McDonald's is. So here it is. When the Roy Rogers company sold to Hardee's, they started closing down any of the locations that weren't profitable and that they didn't think that they could turn into a Hardee's. So they shut down a bunch of them. In my area, all of the Roy Rogers shut down. They were replaced by Wendy's and McDonald's. And that was the case in a lot of places, and that was the case here. So the very first, the #1 location became McDonald's, which is disappointing that it changed, but it closed sometime in the 1990s. And now this town, Falls Church, doesn't have a Roy's. Roy's has reopened a ton of stores. They're much smaller than they were when they had 630, but if you go on their website, there's a lot of locations and a lot in Virginia, but none here. And so this town doesn't have any. Well, let's take a look. I'll show you where Roy was standing when they opened this in 1969. So here you go. This is when they opened this in 1969, and you can see the building. The front of the building looked exactly like that first location we went to, the All About the Burger, because that one wasn't torn down, but this one clearly they tore the building down. They built this McDonald's in its place. But Roy, for their big grand opening, would have been standing right about here. So Roy, Dale Evans, and the head of the Marriott Corporation standing right here. They were actually pulling, if you look here, she's holding a rope and they were pulling a cover off of a sign that said Roy Rogers and opening that restaurant right here in Falls Church, Virginia, on this relatively busy road. So now that we're here, let's see what we're dealing with in here. We've got a fry box. Got to get to the good stuff underneath. The chicken box. All right, here it is. Got 2-piece and a biscuit from Roy Rogers right here at the McDonald's. So with Falls Church being a town without a Roy Rogers in decades, ever since they started closing them in the early 90s, you had to drive about 15 minutes to get Roy Rogers. So I think the odds of anybody picking it up, driving it here since 1992 maybe, 1990, 1991, are just not there. So now it's time to be the first person to have some of this in this spot. I did it for you, Roy. Still good. Hey, make sure to like this video, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Right now a box will pop up over here. I'll point it with this. And another box over here. And you need to pick one. I'm gonna eat my chicken. I'll see you next time.